us, like lettuce, like a salad, go over the top tier gods in every single role with their builds. But before I begin, I would just like to give a disclaimer. People are still figuring stuff out right now with the 9.5 revert. There's a lot of stuff that is good because I think comfortability is super important right now, because if you're comfortable on a god, you're not going to be feeding early. That's a big thing to worry about. And also, you're going to know your damage and everything, so you can know your limits, know when to go in, blast people. But there's just a ton of gods that do a ton of damage, so if you just pick your fights well and pick your engages and all that, you should do well. But I will show you some gods that I think are a little bit overperforming right now and a little bit stronger. And, you know, if you're trying to win your ranked games and have a bit of an advantage on other people, then you could probably select these gods in these roles and do well. But of course, the builds will also help kind of give you guys some idea what's happening right now. So let's start off with solo. I think it's pretty easy. At least two of the characters I think are pretty easy. This is going to be in no particular order. It's just 3 gods. It's not like 1, 2, 3 in each role. But for number 1, or the first character we're going to go through, although I do think Cuchulain's probably number 1, it's Cuchulain. He was probably the best one in your last patch. He only gets better with the changes. The 9.5 revert. He's a super good lane bully. Lane bullies are good right now. He can transition and carry into the mid to late game in team fights because he can do enough damage. He is crazy good when it comes to build variety. The buffs they gave him, he's just super strong. So yeah, we can't really go wrong with him. Has no bad lanes. So you can either go Bluestone, Axe, or Tainted. I don't really like to go Axe on Cuchulain specifically, but it's good on a lot of other solo laners. I usually either go Bluestone or Tainted. I really like Tainted on Cuchulain, so I'm actually going to recommend it. And a lot of people are playing healers right now. So usually what I like to do is go Tainted plus tier 1 Frostbound. Frostbound's really nice on him. You're able to get 5 potions with this, I believe, plus a teleport. So usually I like to go Frostbound into a Mystical. Super good aggressive build with this. And then into an Archdruids. Into either like a Binding if you need magical defense at this point. Either like a Pestilence or an Oni Hunters. Something like that. Pestilence plus Tainted. You're going to have a lot of anti-heal, basically 100% or 80%, which is the max on your own. So, but whatever you want to go. Oni Hunters, usually a Pridwin Glyph as well at this point. Into a Tainted Breastplate. And then also late game, you can sell either your Frostbound or your Mystical for a different item if you'd like. Some situational items, of course, are like Glad Shield. That's always just a fine item to go. Works on Cuchulain pretty well. Good base stats, everything he wants. And then also Prophetic. I always like going that. I also think Manticore is a pretty underrated item right now. And actually not too bad in Cuchulain because it procs on his root, his dash, his knockup, and his ult. All that good stuff. So some situational items. But usually you just go TP Blink. Basically always. Just Blink ult in a team fight late game. And you'll go ham. You'll go Dicko mode. Okay, just make sure you have enough rage. But of course, you can also go Bluestone if you like. If you go the Bluestone route, you can still go the Frostbound. I think that's fine. But sometimes, just because Bluestone makes you a little bit squishier, I like to go into that Glad Shield first, and this will just make you a little bit safer. And then, of course, you go late game, a Redstone. Brooch is also fine, but I prefer Redstone, especially when you're going items like Glorious Pridwin, which go off your prot. So yeah, that's Cuchulain. Mulan is another very good character right now. She's sort of feast or famine, but I would say that as long as you don't just int in the early game when you're getting ganked at level 3, because a lot of junglers like to come over then, you get your abilities upgraded and just get out of that early game, you'll just start bullying everybody. And Mulan's another character that can go a lot of different builds. She can go a lot of different starters. I think your best one is to just go Axe. It's just super safe, good transition into late game because Thundering Axe is actually pretty good on her, because I think the way you should play her late game is to pull the tanks in and then ult past them or try and engage on the back line just for some easy poke, some easy Thundering Axe procs. Unless it's always a good engage. Like if you just see a good engage, you can just all in their backs, their carries and everything, so their backline. But yeah, I like to go Axe usually. She can go a lot of different hammers or a lot of different items first. It's really up to you. Blackthorn is nice because she does spam mana. She's one of the few characters I actually recommend Blackthorn on right now. I think Blackthorn's extremely overrated, but for very spammy characters like Mulan, it's actually pretty good. So you can just go this, go tier 1. You can also go Runeforge on her. I think if they nerf Blackthorn next patch, which I am guessing they are going to because people are over crying about it. If that happens, 100% go Runeforge instead of Blackthorn. But for now, you can still go Blackthorn. So yeah, something like a Axe Blackthorn into a Glad Shield just for the base stats. It's always nice. Into something like a Binding or an Archdruids. I just think both these items are really good. Good transition, lots of damage. Works well on Mulan as well. And then you can go like a Pestilence here. I just really enjoy Pestilence. I think it's probably the best magical defense item and good anti-heal. And there's a lot of healing going around right now between Soul Eater and actual characters being played. So yeah, I go Thundering Axe. And then last item, situational. Sometimes it's Guardian, sometimes it's a binding if I want to go that for a little bit more damage. A lot of times that's just what it is. But then of course there's situational items like Guardian. You can always slam a prophetic, and I always think that's nice. But yeah, that's basically Mulan. Throw Oni Hunters in here as well. Yeah, really strong character right now. Really good lane bully, and like I said, lane bullies are good. And this character's been buffed quite a bit. She's at that point where it's like you just get out traded so hard in lane when you're going against her. So, of course, comfortability is really important. There's a lot of different soul laners I think are pretty strong right now. I'm gonna throw for number 3. I'm gonna throw Cthulhu. I've only played him once since the patch, and he just felt absolutely busted. The fact that his 1 procs items now is super strong as well. He has no bad lanes. He can get away with any starter item because he has good clear. So you can go Sigil, which is a really good late game starter on him, and he can be fine against warriors and lane bullies with this build. So yeah, I think it's worth it. Now, there's a lot of different first items that you can go. If you're going Sigil, your PvE is going to be a little bit worse. So sometimes you might want to like consider going a damage item, but I think for the most part you can get away with just rushing a breastplate with this. Remember now that tier 2 breastplate actually gives you CDR as well, so you can TP back into lane with that and you'll be feeling pretty good. So what I normally like to do is basically just the full magical soul laner build, which is something like this. You don't want to go Pridwin on this character, of course, because, well, it doesn't proc until after your ult. But the last item that I'm going to recommend here, I usually go Sigil, Infuse Sigil, because I think it works really well on Cthulhu, because you're just running at them. But Sigil of the Old Guard also works. But last item, I'm actually going to recommend Curse Weaver, because it scales off your max health, and with Cthulhu ult, it's actually super strong. You'll be super tanky with this build, you'll do a ton of damage, and of course you can go Blink. If you're against a lot of auto attackers, you can substitute out maybe the Curse Weaver or late game the Mystical for a Midgardian. As always, it's nice. Your Glad Shield also actually procs on your 1 swipes now in your ult, so that's also not bad on him. And yeah, maybe some situational magical defense items here if you need that as well, but most of the time you're going to have Void Damar, so yeah, that's Cthulhu. I think this character is really good. And again, doesn't really have any bad lanes, shouldn't get bullied too hard, and yeah, you'll be feeling good. So that was the soul laners. Moving on to the junglers. Another pretty easy, I'd say. Clear number 1. I said there weren't going to be ranks, but clear number 1 for sure is going to be Lancelot. He's also just gotten way too many buffs lately. This build was, I guess, already set, but this is kind of what you should go right now as well. You might want to substitute out the Hydras for a Soul Eater. Soul Eater's pretty nice on him. If you want, he's one of the few junglers maybe you could go Blackthorn on, and I could see it being justified, but I would still just go Jotuns right now. Jotuns first on every jungler, way too strong because of the flat pen. Super strong after everybody's base prots have been nerfed. You'll just do a ton of damage, snowball on people, and yeah, this is the build. You could substitute out the Blood Forge for another item if you'd like. Even like a Duality. I think Duality is actually super strong in the jungle. And of course, if you need anti-heal, don't go Serrated Edge here. You need to go Brawlers there, and then go the Serrated Edge, then go Boombas, and then go Heartseeker. But healing is pretty prevalent right now, like I said, so you will have to go Brawlers in a lot of these games, this third item, but yeah, in an ideal scenario, you don't have to, so that's the build. Lancelot, definitely number 1. Now, the second character I'm going to recommend is Camazotz. He is very strong with the changes because he can actually just kill people with a 2-1 combo into his ult. And damage immunity, when you're in the air and you're able to kill people in metas where everyone's squishy, it's just like you literally can't take damage and they can, and everyone's dying super easily. So I think Camazotz is a very strong character right now in a lot of different roles, honestly, but even in the jungle. So the difference between Boombas and I right now is that I will give you movement speed, and that's kind of all you have to care about. So if you're really a movement speed based character, maybe consider going I, but for the most part, I think Boomba is just a little bit better. A little bit better mana sustain, especially on a character like Kama. Go 2 health pots and a mana potion. You'll be feeling good. Rush that Jotuns. I still like going Soul Eater on this character just because it gives you so much extra healing combined with your healing in your kit. It's just really hard and really oppressive for people to deal with. And then you just go proc items from here. So like a Heartseeker, because you're going to be mana hungry at this point. So it's fine to get a Heartseeker there. So you can get some mana sustain going. Go Boomba's Spear. And then last item, situational. But I like to triple down or quadruple down on the lifesteal between Soul Eater, your passive, Serrated Edge, and Blood Forge. Very hard for people to deal with. Pretty similar build, if not the same build to Lancelot. But that's just jungler builds in general. Again, Brawler situational. If you need to go anti-heal. And then I'll throw Blink in down here. Because you start Blink, throw right here. You start Blink, And I just realized I might be in the way for... Oopsies. Sorry if I'm in the way. Let me move over. Maybe over here? Is that better? Yeah, that's better. Yeah. Pretty easy stuff. Now, the third option, a lot of stuff is go the lifesteal glyph on Kama. But yeah, super safe character. Good early game. Just got to be hitting your 2s and 1s. But now there's just so many different assassins that are pretty good right now, I'd say. Just because it's all about snowballing and getting those early ganks off. Because you can kill people really easily. But I think if I had to go for a safe character, if you want to, you know, bet on yourself, play Thana and you'll snowball. But a bit safer most of the time, I would just say Susano. You can't really go wrong with this character. Good CC, good early kill potential, good late game. Also pretty easy apart from maybe his auto attack cancels. You don't even have to do that. Like if you're in gold or silver, you can play this character and just click your buttons. You don't even have to auto cancel and you'll do well. So no Thor, because I think Thor is too weak early game. He'll just get run at by most characters right now, and it's a very snowball early game meta. So yeah, you start with your 1 on Kama. But yeah, pretty much the same build on him as well. Definitely want to go Boombas on him. Just rush that Jotuns. I like to just go 2 health pots and 1 mana. Start Blink. On most junglers, you should always start Blink unless you're against a really CC heavy comp. Lance can get away with not going Blink, but even then, just get used to going Blink and playing around it. Do not rely on beads. Just make plays with your Blink. And even if sometimes you're dying because you don't have beads and you have Blink, you're going to be getting kills with your Blink, especially in metas like this. So it's much more worth it. So yeah, pretty similar. I don't think you should go Soul Eater on him though. You should just go into that Hydras. But you know, if you have to go anti-heal, go it here. But if not, go Serrated into a Heartseeker. You can either go Boombas. He's one character that can go Hammer or Spear. It's up to you. Spear is good for securing objectives, healing between fights and stuff like that. Whereas Hammer is kind of decent in the middle of the fight. And also a little bit better now. Yeah, so. But it's up to you. Throw Spear in there. And then I actually like going Duality on him, but you can go Crusher here. I'll throw Brawlers down here, situational. I don't think you should go Soul Eater on him, so don't really worry about that. Did I throw Crusher already? No, okay. So yeah, pretty standard stuff when it comes to jungle. Not much to really cook up there. Moving on to the mid lane. Now, clear number 1 in my opinion, and it ain't particularly close, is Ishel. She's also gotten so many buffs recently. Her ult is insane. It's like Anubis ult on crack cocaine. And healing is super strong, like I said, in these early fights, these early skirmishes where everyone's going at it. And yeah, her early combo is super good. She can kill people that blink on her very easily because she does so much damage. And if you're against a lot of physicals, you can go Breastplate and still do a lot of damage and be super survivable on this character while spamming your abilities because of the cooldown. So, yeah, you can either go Conduit or Sands of Time on her. I like to go Conduit and tier 1 Doom Orb. Pretty similar builds in general in mid. Go like a Mana Pot, probably go Beads down here. Most games, you're either going to be rushing Doom Orb on mages or rushing like a Spear of Deso. You go like a Spear, but either way, you're going both, right? You're going Spear of Deso. If you need anti-heal, you should go Divine there. Most of the time, you can get away with a Staff of Mirrodin into like a Ratatouille. Although, to be fair, on Ishel, it doesn't proc until after your ult, so you got to keep that in mind. But this is kind of just like the standard mage build in general. And then last item, a lot of situational last items, but you're gonna need some more pen, so probably an Obsidian Shard. Now, technically, you could go a Chronos Pendant here. I think that's also good, just for spamming. It works really well with Ishel especially. But yeah, I'll just throw that down here. Staff of Mirrodin. And am I forgetting an item? Oh, I'll throw Divine because that's also situational. So you'll notice there's not going to be a lot of Book of Thoth builds in mid anymore. You kind of just want to go these flat pen items so you can have a lot of early game kill potential. And you just don't really need the Book of Thoth because you don't want to be stacking when you could be killing people. So yeah, definitely recommend Ishel right now. Another character, we'll go over the physicals, is Marty. I think Marty's super strong as well. With the nerfs to all the base prots and everybody's health, you can actually like one-shot people with your ult. And just super safe character. Good early game. can't really go wrong with him. Also good anti-heal. Can't forget about that. Pretty simple stuff as well when it comes to the build. It's just kind of that physical hunter mid build. Except you don't go Transcendence, is what I'm being told. There you go. Jotuns, Fail Not. You just get that full CDR right away into just proc items. So you're going to have a Crusher, a Heartseeker. You're going to go Brooch. Go Brooch. Do not be going Redstone on your full ability damage hunters. Or any hunter that's going Bluestone. Just don't go Redstone. Go Brooch. It does a lot of damage still. And then Duality last item for the proc items. Duality is a super strong item. I've heard some people say it's bad. It is not. It is so good. Definitely consider going getting a lot of builds. For ballers, just in case you need to go anti-heal. Probably don't need to as a mid laner a lot of the time. But that's kind of just the set in stone build. This is what you should have every single game. And of course, go beat Aegis. And you'll be feeling good. Redstone is very good on soul laners, but it's not good on carries. Do not be going in on carries. So yeah, that's Marty at number 2. And then we'll go back to the magicals because our third character is Vulcan. Another character that's good with the like percentage increase damage build. What I mean by that is you go like stuff like Staff of Mirrodin, Rod of Tuhiti, and then Gem of Focus will really increase your damage. So kind of mana hungry god, so you want to go a mana pot here. So you go Doom Orb into that Deso, Divine if you need it. Staff of Mirrodin 100% on this character. It's like his best item. Into a Rod of Tuhiti. Boom. Get that Gem of Focus. And then last item, situational. If you need more pen at this point, you can go Obsidian if they're super tanky. If they're not super tanky, you can get something like a Soul Gem. That's also pretty nice on him. Something you'll notice is that Soul Reaver is not in the mage builds as much anymore. Just because everyone's less tanky. And these flat pen items, especially in that like early to mid game, could just kind of snowball super hard. Of course, if you need to, and if you're playing like a spammy mage like a Tiamat or like a Merlin or characters that just kind of their damage isn't as guaranteed, you kind of have to like hit the edges of your abilities and stuff like that. Then you could definitely consider going Reaver on those types of characters. But yeah, pretty simple stuff. Beads, Aegis, you'll be feeling good. But again, this also applies to mid lane. A lot of stuff is comfortability right now and matchup dependent and counter picking and stuff. I think a lot of characters are good. Like Yuhong is super strong, Zeus is super strong, Zhang is super strong, Tiamat is good, Nuwa is good. I mean, even stuff like Agni, Thoth is obviously pretty good, but I just think he gets run down a little bit too hard. Pretty squishy and no CC immunity, so you can get counterpicked hard by stuff like Daji and get run down by stuff like Kama. So keep that in mind. But again, just like 3 characters that I recommend for you, but you can kind of get away with a lot of stuff. Moving on to support. I think the clear number 1 support for sure is Terra. The healing buff to her 3 is super good. She does a ton of good base damage right now. Her ult can change the team fight early, mid, late, very easily with all the fighting that's going on. You can get away with all 3 starters on basically every support. But personally, I just think Warflag is the safest. It's not the safest, but it just gives you a lot of aggression, helps you clear the early double camp, walk into lane, get some pressure off that, and you'll be feeling pretty good. You can kind of go a lot of different things on all supports. It's one of the roles where you're going to be counter building the most, I'd say, especially when it comes to your relic. You can be aggressive with a horrific. You can be, if you're like less comfortable in the support role, just go a sprint so you can peel for your team. I also like med on certain characters, especially something like Terra, because I think once you get that upgrade, it can be very, very impactful. But you got to keep in mind that they are going to be building anti-heal for you. Also, you can go a ward here with this build. If you go Ward Flag Glowing Emerald, you can go 5 potions with a ward, and then you can ward for that early gank. But Gauntlet of Thebes, very, very good. That aura to your team, even more important now. I like to rush straight into a Pruin on this character because it's very, very good with their ult, and the cooldown is super good on Terra because you want to be spamming your abilities. So yeah, she's also a character I like to go a damage item on because it, with your Pridwin procs, your ult, all of your base damage, if you go like a Spear of Deso or a Divine here, you are going to be hitting very, very hard. Now, not everybody's comfortable with that, so I'm not just going to slam recommend that. A lot of physicals being played. So you can just slam a sovereignty, and you can't really go wrong with that either. More aura items. By this point, you should be able to get your starter item upgrade. You can kind of go either. If there's a lot of fighting in lanes, then you can consider going Aura Banner, but Spartan Flag is also just a little bit better for the jungle fights because you're not relying on minions being killed for the stacks. But yeah, so it's a Spartan Flag there. And then at this point, I think you should get a damage item because Terra is actually pretty good with it. Probably a Divine a lot of the time. It can help your mage not have to go a anti-heal item, so that's good for them. And then I also really like the tier 2 of Spirit Robe. So this is something you could consider going second. So in your Thieves, instead of going Pridwin here, you could go tier 2 Spirit Robe because you can actually keep this for most of the game, and it's very, very strong. 30 of each prot, 5% cooldown, and a super, super good passive that steals protections that doesn't have a limit. So you can steal up to 50 protections, which is pretty insane. So that's something I consider going like as a tempo item, especially for snowballing. Yeah, that's just if you're into that kind of thing, I guess. If you need magical defense at this point, you can go that, but Midgardian's also a very good support item right now. And of course, all the normal stuff, situational. If they have a magical heavy comp, consider going a Heart Ward. I would say Relic Dagger is less viable now just because it makes you pretty squishy. So that's something to consider. I'd say definitely less viable. If you have a lot of auto attackers on your team, Shogun's is still good. And yeah, I also like Contagion. I think Contagion is a super good item now as well. Go Blink a lot of the time on Terra, but if you're playing a more of a peel Terra, like let's say you go mid first, you're going to want to go like Sprinter Shell here to help your team out. So I'll just throw this down here. But again, a lot of support is, what is it called? Heavenly? Yeah, a lot of support is simply counter building. So yeah, so that's Terra. I would say that she's probably the best support. The next best one is Bacchus, and we have a save build here. I'd say this build is still really good, and you should go this. I don't know if everyone's still going Mystical on Bacchus. That might be a bit of a greedy item, so you can not go that and instead go something else here. Of course, go Red Pridwin on Terra as well. You'll just do a lot of damage with that. You can go a different item here. Maybe you just go Prophetic into Binding, actually. And then maybe go like a Midgardian and run at their ADC, and you'll be owning with that. If they don't have like an ADC that you really need to run at, then maybe you can go something else here. But for the most part, I think this is actually still the go-to build. Definitely want to go Horrific. And you can always slam a Prophetic. You could honestly go Prophetic, Thebes into Pridwin. But I think being a little bit more aggressive on this character is nice. And you can also go Avoid Damaru, which also helps him a lot because of the Shred. Plus a Binding. You're going to basically be doing true damage to carries. So, yeah. Go Thorns when you're ahead, I think. Go Sprint otherwise, and just run at people. You could also go Blink on this character to Blink Initiate. So keep that in mind. And then the third support, this one's a kind of a toss-up, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of different stuff you could play. I think stuff like Atlas is good right now. Ganesh is always good. Fafnir is good, but I'm actually going to recommend Horus because he's super aggressive and he'll get you a lot of early game kills, which I think are very important right now. They're paramount. Not the build. This was a troll build I was cooking up for something. Another War Flag character, super aggressive. It's going to be nice for you. The movement speed's going to help you reach people with your 2. Into a Thebes. You could technically go Runeforged on Horus first. But if I were to do that, I would only do that if I was ahead. So I would still go Glowing Emerald and still get my normal stuff like 5 potions and a ward. I'm not going to put the ward here, but most of the time it's either Horrific or Blink on this character as your first relic. It's just super aggressive options. If you have a team comp that's going to get in there with you, then go Blink. If not, go Horrific and you should be good. So yeah, Thebes. You can either go like an aura item route or more of an aggressive route. Something like straight into a Thebes will be really nice. I swear you should go this, especially on a character like Horus. So something like this would be super strong. And of course, kind of just the same old when it comes to support items. A lot of counter building and a lot of just like stuff that you need depending on the game. So if they have healing, you could slam a Contagion. If they have a lot of auto attackers, you can slam a Guardian, stuff like that. One character I think you should probably go War Banner on, although Spartan Flag's pretty nice as well, because when you 2 into them, you're going to drop Prot Shred, and you're also going to drop that banner that's giving you attack speed and increased power. So pretty good. So either, but also War Banner is super nice in lane for a character like Horus, who's already good at sieging. He's like a siege specialist. So also Shogun's is really nice on him because you're going to be 2ing people in front of your teammates and giving them attack speed. And of course you could upgrade this into Mantle if you want. But same old situational items like Contagion, Sob if you just want to fight around They say they have 4 fizz and you just want to fight on cooldown. It's always really good. And of course, second relic. I wouldn't go second relic blink if you didn't go at first. You should just go another like peel relic or something like a med, something like a shell, a sprint. But you don't really want to go blink second. You're kind of using that blink as to make plays early game, but you're not so much using it to initiate late game. Kind of want to stay near your team late game as Horus. So yeah, definitely recommend him. But again, another role that like a lot of it is just comfortability and a lot of stuff is viable. But I think those characters will nudge you in the right direction. And last and certainly least, we have ADC. Now this one's a bit weird because the ADC build itself is still people are still cooking up stuff. There's not a clear-cut best build right now. I think crit is pretty good, so I'm going to recommend crit with the characters that I show you. But I don't think, I think you could probably play a lot of different stuff and you'll do well. So yeah, first character is going to be on her. This is an old build. Now, you could technically still go this build, and it's fine. I have been liking Destol with tier 1 Aussie. Because the flat pen that they added to Aussie is just pretty nice. Gives you attack speed as well. Devs is still good, but especially when you're playing a character like on her, you kind of want attack speed, because he doesn't have a steroid. So it just makes it really good as that first item. And I like to go crit a character like this. Something like a rage into a fail knot, into an Xe. At this point, you should be able to get a Death Embrace or a Death Temper, and then a Deathbringer, and of course upgrade that Deathbringer into whatever it's called. What is this glyph called? Devoted Deathbringer. Upgrade that there. Start beads. Feel like you're lacking a bit of attack speed here. You could go the Xe here instead. If it will let me do that. And then go into a Demon Blade. That would also be good because on her is a character with low attack speed, but maybe you're playing a character with an attack speed steroid. You could throw in the fail knot there. But yeah, I like this build right now, and just the flat pen they added to Aussie is pretty good. Now, some people have been cooking up Stormseeker builds. They increased the price by 200, but gave it 10 flat pen. But I really don't think this item is worth it because with everyone being squishier now, like, it's such a win more item. If you're hitting enough autos where you're getting value out of this item, you were basically winning the game anyway. You know what I mean? Like, you should have just gotten a different item that would have gotten value from the get-go. Now, it's not that bad, 30 power, 20% attack speed, and 10 pen. But, like, if you even hit 100 autos in a game, like, you probably have, like, 15 kills as an ADC, not gonna lie. So I just don't see it. I think it's still pretty gimmicky. But, yeah. Also, something to keep in mind is dominance, if they're pretty tanky, because dominance actually works really well with crit builds because the pen actually applies to the crits, whereas the pen from it doesn't apply to stuff like oboe or kin size. So it's a nombo there, but it's definitely a combo with crit. So yeah, on her, and the reason I think on her is super good right now is because of his passive having flat pen. Now that everybody's a lot squishier, he does basically true damage to everyone. He does so much damage. So that's part of the reason I think he's one of the better characters right now. Charybdis. Charybdis is so strong. She's not good with the crit build though, I'm gonna say that. So you're gonna have to go that kin size build on her, but still a super strong character. The buffs they gave her recently helped her out a ton. Super safe in lane, good pressure because of her one. It's really good clear. Yeah, just another good character. Good late game, good mid game, good early game. Her ult's also a lot better. You can actually hit Charybdis ult these days. So, yeah. Couple of different strategies you can go on her. I like Destol just because, you have the good value from your passive autos, those little mini autos, plus your one goes through the whole wave, it'll hit that. That's nice. But you can also go mannequins on her. I think she's one of the few characters that's actually viable with mannequins in ADC, but don't only do that if you're comfortable. Definitely can still go dev gloves on her as well. If you want to cook up the new Aussie build, go for that. I think I like Aussie quite a bit. You will be over at capped attack speed late game with this build, but you'll have so much sustain in lane with this. Go beat Zagus, of course, on all of your ADCs. So you go Aussie. You go Xe. Kins. I actually like going this route on her. So you go Oboe. You go either Death Embrace or Death Temper. I think Death Temper, so you can actually have some extra damage. Especially if you have Aussie attack speed, you can actually get away with going Titan's Bane here instead of Dominance. Because like I said before, the Titan's Bane pen applies to your kin size and oboe procs, whereas Dominance will not. So definitely a strong combo there. Go Death's Embrace. You know, if you need some more healing, or, you know, they have a comp that's diving you and it's going to help you survive, you can go that route. But I definitely recommend going the kin size oboe build on Charybdis still. Do not go crit on her. It's just not good with her kit, in my opinion. I have seen some people going crit Charybdis, and it just does not look good at all. And again, like I said, Mannequins is actually not too bad on her, in my opinion. She's one of the few characters. I think her and Heim are like the only two characters I think you should go Mannequins maybe on an ADC. I've been somewhat convinced. But yeah. Also another character you can go Stormseeker on, but again, I think it's just a little gimmicky. So that would be the Charybdis build. And then last, and maybe surprise to some people, but I'm not a surprise to a lot of people that have been playing ranked lately, is Medusi. Medusi. This character does so much freaking damage. It's insane. It's absolutely wild. Her kill potential early game is wild, which is obviously very important in metas like this. So you don't want to go Transcendent. It's basically the same thing as the other builds, except you can go a lot of different items on her. She can make use of a lot of different stuff. You can even go Soiter if you want. But I think just basically like the full build of the mid lane build that I showed you is best on her. For a bit of ability based, a bit of crit, of course, with the fail not. Brooch. Like I said, go Brooch, don't go Redstone. Was this? Do I already have Crusher? Oh yeah, I already have Crusher. Duality. This is the build that you want to go. And you can actually technically go Blink on her, but I'm not going to recommend that. Just go Beads Aegis, and you'll be feeling good. Some situational items, like I said, Soul Eater. What was the other one? I mean, technically you can go Hydras on her as well, but I don't think I'm gonna tell you guys to do that. But yeah, I guess Titan's Bane would be another situational item. Don't really ever want to go Brawlers on her. She does have Anthony on her kit already, but yeah, Medusa, super good at snowballing, hits super hard. And they made her ult do 85% even when they're looking away, so that'll basically one-shot people regardless of whether they're looking or not. But yeah, super good character. That only downside is that she's kind of easy to kill, but she does us like so much damage right now that it's not that big of a deal. You just got to make sure you stand your ground and actually hit people. Get your items online. So yeah, those are the 3 hunters. Those are all the characters, all 15, I guess, of the characters that I'd recommend you play right now with their builds. You can kind of switch over those builds to other characters right now, because a lot of them, like especially like the mid builds and the jungle builds as well, even support. And again, comfortability is super key right now, especially when everybody's still trying to figure stuff out and everybody's super easy to kill and kind of inting. And comfortability is always important in rank, but especially in times like this. But yeah, those are some characters that I recommend you play in their builds. If you learned a thing or two, be sure to leave a like. Let me know what you guys are playing in the comments down below with the builds. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.